Hey, welcome to Talking Shop. We had a good run with Ernie. We made it one episode, and he's already gone. But we have a replacement. This is Ernie too. No, this is Corey, and Corey's here with us today to join our conversation, in which we're looking at the Transfiguration of our Lord from Mark chapter 9, 2 through verse 9. Jesus shining white, Clorox-esque. And
that was a pretty funny joke. Anyway.
Okay. We'll get after it.
Leave away, spit out my Lord in every way. Yet I'm still welcome in the yard.
I don't know if you'd even do it, but sure you could get it to do it.
Okay. Mark 9, verse 2 through 9.
Called God a liar and took his crown.
So, text is straightforward. Most people know it, right? But there's a lot of beauty in it, I think, that people will find when they preach it. This is a text. Transfiguration Sunday comes around every year. So it's not like a accidental text you're going to stumble upon, but people have heard the story a lot. So let's kind of get through what you might preach in it. After 6 days, Jesus takes with him Peter, James, and John, his homies, his little inner circle there, and they go up on a mountain. Right? Now, we'll get to the Transfiguration in a second, but there is the whole action of going up on a mountain is kind of important in the first place. As an old professor might used to say, God does big stuff on mountains, right? That's where he does his things.
Yeah, we don't have the phrase mountaintop experience for no reason.
That's exactly right. And Moses and Elijah make a guest appearance in this text, and they had big mountain moments themselves, right? They were Moses was the mountain guy, like he was the guy who spent a lot of time up there chatting with God, freaking everybody out, right? So they go up there on a mountain, and so you should be kind of heightened. The hearer would be something big is going to go on, and what happens?
He was transfigured before them. Greek metamorphosized. So he was changed from what he looks like now into something different.
Okay.
I guess would be if you're going to take that Greek word, right? The essence, the being is there, but the appearance is something entirely new and separate from what it was before.
Separate from what? Does transfiguration, does that come from the Latin?
It must.
Right? Metamorphosis goes into the Latin.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading the two words, right? Figure and trans. So trans to progress from one to the other. Right. And so I'm guessing Latin figure somewhere in there.
So what does that look like? He's transfigured. What's it look like? Anyone? Corey? What's it look like that he is transfigured?
I wish I could have been there. I mean, this is like I want to see shiny Jesus. What does shiny Jesus look like? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they must have recognized him, right? They must have known it was Jesus. So he wasn't like.
Seems to be,
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't transform into something else.
Yeah, the text does not say, and they looked around to wonder where Jesus went to.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. So.
But he is and we were talking about earlier. You brought up how this is described very differently. Our different words are used in the different gospels, right?
Yeah.
So one is like lightning, right? What is that was Matthew, right?
Matthew says lightning.
Yeah. What does Luke have?
He says the sun.
The sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here you get
Clorox.
Yeah. Basically, he says, because it's literally that he is so white that beyond what a bleacher, somebody who bleaches clothes, which apparently is a profession. I mean, I guess it makes sense. We have laundromats today, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you gotta have the bleacher.
And wider than they could ever get it, right? So yeah, Clorox. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So radiant white is probably how it's going to be translated, or brilliantly white, or something like that in most. But and I think this is the image most of your hearers are going to have anyways. It's just gleaming white Jesus, right? whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Shiny Jesus, I think.
Shiny
When
Jesus.
If we were to bring an adjective to Transfiguration, that's probably the best that we can get. White Jesus would be the other one, but we talked
Which
about
is-
how
yeah.
That's not going to
politically
go well.
politically correct. That doesn't
Yeah.
that doesn't work well in our world. So.
Super white Jesus doesn't play.
That doesn't play well at all, no. So let's shiny Jesus.
Shiny
right.
Jesus, yeah. Let's stick with him.
And then who shows up? So it's not just that he's shiny white. Then who shows up?
Well,
with him?
exactly who you would expect. I guess. I don't know. Moses and Elijah.
Yeah.
And again, we know this text, right? We ask that question. It's like we know the answer to that, but at the same time, I don't think if you kind of go down on it, Peter expected them to show up. I think that's part of what surprises them. As if shiny Jesus isn't enough.
Right, isn't enough.
Right?
Yeah.
So Moses and Elijah are there, and the way people, I think, commonly hear this, like, oh, this is like the summary of the law and the prophets. You could probably get there, but these are also these are major figures with mountaintop moment kind of things.
Yeah.
These are also, Elijah never dies, gets carried away by God. Moses is buried by God.
Yeah,
I mean,
Moses' grave is only known to God.
Yeah.
So in
here, God, I think you mentioned when we were talking earlier that here are God over both life and death, the whole span of it all. They're in His hands, and now they're hanging out, and they're talking with who?
They're talking with Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they wearing name tags?
So I had a guy in my previous congregation. He would ask that every year. He's like, "How did they know?"
Right.
No, it was Moses
And
and
I'm like,
Elijah.
I don't. And I used to say that. I don't. Maybe they had name tags.
Is Moses carrying like the Ten Commandments? He's like, I got the
That's
Ten
right,
Commandments.
I, know.
Like,
I always like the old images with Moses with horns. Have you seen
oh
those?
yeah.
No.
Yeah, because in the Hebrew, it always say when he when he comes down or he comes out of chatting with God,
Yeah.
his face is horned with light.
Oh, it's horned with light.
And it means it's
Yeah.
usually, I think we say it's like radiating out with light.
Interesting, like rays.
But there were some old depictions of him with horns, and they're freaky looking.
Yeah.
And it's-
literally.
It's a very heavy metal look.
Yeah.
To Moses. Yeah. Yeah.
Horned Moses. There's your next.
Yeah.
There's your next
That's
album
right.
title.
You should at least, yeah, that'd be great. So Moses and Elijah, I don't know how, but they
know
obviously
him.
they know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Peter makes this statement. Now Peter, in context in the gospel, and I think you probably should bring some of this up if you're preaching this, is Peter's had a rough go up to this point, right? He had a great confession of Jesus.
Yep.
And then Jesus goes, "Yeah, let me tell you what the Son of Man needs to do." And Peter goes, "That doesn't sound great." And so he gets called Satan. That's
Yeah.
not fun,
That's
right?
not fun. And that was only 6 days earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't all that long ago. And so now Peter is here. He's here. He's on a mountaintop. He's doing Moses and Elijah kind of stuff. Moses and Elijah are there. Jesus is transfigured. Peter, I think my view of all this is he's doing exactly what we would do. He is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It speaks of him being afraid. He doesn't know kind of what he's saying, but I think that's, to me, it's the most reasonable thing you're going to do.
I think
here.
it's they were afraid. I don't think it's just him. Let me find that again.
Yeah, it is.
but-
They were. Yeah.
yeah.
He didn't know what to say because they were afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
All of them were experiencing the same thing. But what does he say? What does he want? It's not a trick question.
Oh, it's
What's
not.
Peter
Sorry.
want? Yeah.
Sorry. 3/10. Well, he actually wants to make 3/10, so he's even willing to put in the effort. Just talking about it, I wonder, and this kind of leads into our conversation. Why would Peter even open his mouth and say it? And I think it goes into what we would all be doing, but maybe he's thinking in the back of his mind, he's trying to make up for what he failed on,
Yeah.
right? And going, oh, I'm not gonna mess up here. All right, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're going. Well, I'm in full. Whatever this is, I'm in full.
Yeah,
Right?
in full. And yeah.
So, but again, I think fear here. We always talk about fear, but fear usually comes in the face of the unknown, in the face of inability, and so fear here doesn't have to be, that they were scared out of their mind,
Right.
as much as just not really with the program of why and what this was all about.
Right.
So,
And the thing is, they don't actually want to run away. They want to stay there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's not that they're this is massive thing, but they're like, this is where we want to be. And you know, I really think in preaching this, I know when I've preached it before, like I'll really focus on this. Like this is the desire of our hearers when they not when they hear this type, but when they think of God or they think of the promises of God, to be in that mountaintop moment for all eternity is exactly what they want.
Yeah.
If they had the chance and they had the opportunity to build a tent up on top of a mountain to hang out with Jesus, Moses, and Elijah, they would. We all would. Like that's a power move of all power moves, right?
Right.
So let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's be in the glory. Let's have this moment. This is God doing His big stuff, and we're there. We get to see it, man. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then the cloud comes. The cloud over town. This again. I mean, I think preaching it, you could probably highlight a lot of this. This is very similar to what God tends to do. The mountain on the cloud, or cloud on the mountain.
Strike
That's
that.
right.
Reverse
Yeah,
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it overshadows them. And the God speaks. And this is probably the clincher. What's He direct them to?
Yeah, he's narrowing their focus.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, yeah, Moses, Elijah, awesome, great.
Awesome. Shiny Jesus, awesome.
Shiny Jesus, awesome.
Right.
But this is my son. This one.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Moses
do
isn't my
what?
son. Elijah isn't my son.
Right.
This one's my son.
This is my son.
Listen.
And listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the narrowing of the focus, I think, again, for our hearers can be helpful, is that it's not even just that this is a guy that is of most important on this mountaintop. It is His word. What He says is the thing that you are to focus on.
Yeah.
Right. The narrowing it down. This, my son, His word. This is what you got.
Yeah.
Right. This is for you.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's no one else left. God says, listen to Him, and everything else disappears. And you just get Jesus. And now apparently not shiny Jesus.
Yeah.
No Clorox.
Yeah. Shiny
Just-
Jesus goes away.
Just Jesus.
Just
normal, everyday.
Mundane Jesus.
Right.
Man.
And this is where I've tended to focus on it in the past, is that the thing is that's our guy, the Jesus who comes most often in lowly ways, whose voice, though, His word, is what we have. And He goes back down the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and He comes right down into our lives. So we talked a lot earlier, Matt. You kept highlighting how this is for these disciples to say, sort of, how are we going to endure? How are we going to make this through? This whole thing is a gift then to them.
Right.
Of this is it. You're going to make it. Like I gave you a little preview.
Yeah.
Of who this is that's in your midst. But He's coming back down the mountain. So He's going back down into the daily grind, into all the unknown that's going to come.
Well, He's going back down into the description that He gave to Peter
Peter to
when
start
Peter
with.
declares the Christ,
I need
right?
to die. Yeah, I'm going to be betrayed.
We're still headed on that path to
Right.
suffering. We're still headed on that path to crucifixion. We're still headed on that path to resurrection, which is also part of that
Yes, it's
prediction
part of
when
it
it
too.
goes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was interesting as you were talking about word, and we were connecting the white and how He's described in Mark to the end of the gospel when the two men at the tomb are shown in white robes, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting that the last words on their lips, right before you have the women who are seized with fear and run away, right? You have they telling Him, but go and tell His disciples, go ahead before you into Galilee. There you will see Him, just as He told you.
Yeah, He told you.
And
Remember
so
His
again,
word?
listen to Him,
Listen
right?
to Him,
And so it's interesting that focus on word even comes back in that story.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, what a great opportunity preaching wise. Then I mean, you have all this packed in, and you get to tell your people about this. Like, he has said something about you. He has made promises to you. And he, that word is what we hold on to. That's the thing that will carry us through. It'll carry them through his death to his resurrection, but it'll carry you now through your death to resurrection. I mean, think of all the times you've been at a funeral and you speak bold, almost ridiculous sounding promises to your people,
Yeah.
that those who die will live again, and you're standing next to a casket, and it's this shocking moment. It's like that word, even though it doesn't look like it, doesn't look the glory big moment, it's still what we're holding on to.
Yeah.
Right? And he has said something to you.
Well, and in the midst, even before we get to that casket, and this was the whole point of the Transfiguration, he gives us those little foretastes.
Yeah.
Right? He brings us food to sustain us on our journey. He gathers us with the fellowship of believers, even if it's small. It's that foretaste. It's not complete. It's not the total package, but those little moments to help us to kind of show us the kingdom coming in its power.
Yeah.
So that we can come back down the mountain and face that road of suffering that is ahead of us. So we don't get shiny Jesus, but we still get moments in our lives where we are flooded with his word, where we are surrounded by the fellowship of his believers, where we receive the food that he desires to bring to us. And those are all our transfiguration moments in order to make it through.
Yeah. And I like, it struck me too, as they're coming down the mountain, he tells them not to tell anyone about this until there's a moment, until the resurrection, until Easter.
Right.
This is not going to make sense to anyone.
Sure.
And it doesn't even make sense for them until Easter.
Yeah.
It's only through that resurrection. It's only through that death and resurrection that you go, oh, now I understand this metamorphosis. Now I understand this transfiguration.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense until I
Right.
see the casket, until I see the empty tomb.
Yeah.
This is just kind of, this is, maybe should we make tents? Is that what we're supposed to do? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Once you have that experience, that resurrection, then you're going to click, and then you can start telling people, aha, this is the path. This is the way.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Check out craftedpreaching.com. There's lots of good resources there for sure on Preaching Transfiguration Sunday. Like, subscribe, share us with your friends, leave some comments, give Ernie a hard time for not being here, and we will see you soon. God bless your preaching.